The topic of transhumanism, so what you're going to be hearing today is a bit on the different side, so from a more kind of technological aspect, but there are connection points how we see also from the biohacker scene. Mm-hmm. So there is technology, so that when you take nutritions, you take supplements, there has to be also the kind of technological side to prove that it actually works, because even there, like, and also from the transhumanism side, that technology is good, but we need to be also able to prove it that it does good for us, and it can't be just this kind of yeah, this is good for us. And transhumanism as a subject, I think I came out of the closet now during this year, and today we will be talking about a bit of my history and with transhumanism, and also more of the kind of ethical and moral side. Like Mikko, you said in the introduction also when you were talking about technological, because there's going to be a lot of changes in the upcoming years. Truly, some technological advancements that will shatter the very foundations of what we believe at the moment. So I'm hoping that after today, I'm not a prophet, and I don't know the answers. But I'm more willing to engage in a debate and in a discussion together so that we can find the right answers and to really move the technological advancement into the good of people. But yeah, so this is me, caricature.
Nice.
Cool. Thank you. But yeah, so I'm the founder of a new association called Transhumanism Finland. It's a brand new association which is still in the making, and I'm still waiting for the papers to actually go through the Patent and Registration Office. I'm not sure if they think about that, what kind of nutcrack is this one, so perhaps they're just like waiting for me to provide some more information. I'm not sure, but so it's still in the making. But basically what Transhumanist Finland is going to be doing is that we're going to be finding technology who make the technology work, and then we find the people who need that technology. And we want to find really the good companies that are going to the direction where man and machine are going to be merging. And that should be a good thing. But as Mikko, you said, technology can be used for good or bad.
Yes, cool.
And that's one of the morals and ethics also behind the whole idea for the association.
Here is this also. Okay.
Does it work for me?
Yes, should be. Right. Just do this one. Like this. Let's see.
You're more technological than me.
No. It's just mine.
Yeah.
You have to put this one. You want to try? Sorry.
Yeah, why not? Oh, yeah. Cool.
No.
Awesome. Hey, this helps a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Should help. Cool. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's a brand new organization, and of course we're looking for members. So if you're interested in joining, this is more like really, like I said, an ethical, philosophical association where we really think about these things. Because I do believe that these things that we're now going to be talking, some of the topics are quite tough, but I think that they should be discussed now, and not in 5 years, not in 10 years, but now. And you don't see this, perhaps in the academics, in the technology companies, they do discuss these kind of things, but not too openly yet in Finland, at least from my perspective. And that was one of my angles why I wanted to perform this. So to find like-minded people who can do the debates, do the discussions. And you're more than welcome to join me. But perhaps you want to listen now to the topics first and see if I'm a nutcrack or something. But yeah, so today we'll be talking about transhumanism, how and what, why did I choose it, and what is it about. We're going to be talking about how technology will be doing the re-evolution of mankind. So not just a revolution, but truly a re-evolution of the whole concept of what it means to be a human. Morals and ethics, really important topic, because that is the reason why we are talking now. And we need to think about the boundaries that we're going to be crossing through the technology. Immortality, quite like topics for Saturday, I would say. So, should we be chasing immortality? Can we achieve it? And if we can, what does that mean? I think that's some of the kind of shattering borders that we're going to be crossing today. Augmentations, Mikko mentioned also that it's a good example when the Paralympics guy actually jumped higher. So is that the new standard? Is that the new normal? So that's what we're going to be talking when we talk about augmentations. Human 2.0, that's from the transhumanistic perspective, the kind of elevation of us to the next level. I would say quite similar actually when it comes to biohackerism. We want to elevate ourselves, our bodies, to be much more powerful, to be able to do more. So in that sense, I see no contradiction between biohackerism and transhumanism. Perhaps our angle is a bit different, but still, the human 2.0, this is like a bit kind of ATK-termi, but human 2.0, upgrading ourselves to the next level. And then the final part is going to be about new societies also, because when the technology will change our whole perception of humanity, do our old roles and society models work? I don't believe so. And Mika also mentioned about the kind of how school system is and all that stuff. There has to be drastic changes if we want to do this new kind of societies. And we are on a path now, and we'll talk about that a bit more. All right, so not sure if anybody knows this guy, but Gurdjieff is this kind of esoteric mystic from the late 1800s. But he basically, this was my first touching stone when it comes to transhumanism. And even though this guy lived like 200 years ago, but still he thought that through self-observation, by setting aside a part of ourselves to observe what our false personality is doing, we will see that most of our activities are merely mechanical reactions rather than purpose actions. And what Mika explained, like really going into the model that you're taught by your parents, by society, this is what Gurdjieff is actually trying to get us also away from. And I actually understood, even though we'll talk about the book where this quote is from, it's a really hard book. I tried to read it like 5 times and I still haven't fully comprehended the whole stuff. But it's really easy to understand that we are mechanical beings in the sense. Our bodies work automatically. And you talked about breathing. That's a simple way to stop the mechanical nature of our body from actually doing that. So this is the kind of moment when we do something together. So let's stop the automatical process of breathing now. So let's take a deep breath, everybody. And out. Let's do it again. And out. With this simple trick, Wim Hof, you stop the automatical breathing and you become conscious of at least one part in your body. And those are the kind of stepping stones where you can start to become more aware of yourself. To understand that you are mechanical. So in this kind of like AA clinic that, hey, I'm a mechanical, like we're all anonymous mechanicals here. Until we start becoming aware of ourselves, and becoming aware, of course, that brings our consciousness to more, we can dig into these kind of topics. If we're just like shut, we're mechanical, we don't even want to know, we can't discuss these topics. And to finalize this exercise, I need to, let's see, look at your partner who is sitting beside you and do something that you normally wouldn't do. Shake hands, hug, whatever, but break away from the mechanical, because in Finland we like to leave some space also. So try to do something stupid with your friend who is sitting beside you. Something really weird. Something very weird. Yes. Very weird. Something very weird. Yes. All right. You have now broken away from the automatic functions that you usually do on a daily basis.
You're usually doing that.
Yeah, well, yeah. But that's okay. All right, we're ready to begin the journey now. So, how and why did I choose transhumanism? So, my story is not that epic as Mikko had, but still, let's try to do some kind of epicness to it. How natural it started with science fiction, of course. As a little boy, Star Trek, Star Wars, whatever, the fantasy of us being at some point at space or us being superhumans, we having augmented limbs or something, it was fascinating, and I've always loved science, and also, of course, science fiction. But the funny part is that it's a really interesting time to be living in the age of mankind. Because at the moment, the things that I was looking when I was a child, it said science fiction. But today you just remove the fiction part and it has become science. Like in old school sci-fi movies, they were making the video calls, and at some point that felt like, nah, that's going to be happening in like 2050, but suddenly we're doing it now. Even though it's a simple thing, but we can communicate with anybody by video. And that was science fiction still. And then the music, yeah, so I'm a music producer, and music has been my passion. If Mikko had basketball, so music is my passion. And actually through music I found transhumanism. And it sounds a bit weird path, but I was doing research. I had an electro-pop band back in Vaasa when I was still living there. And I was looking for new kind of topics. I wanted to have something interesting. We were actually doing quite hardcore, perhaps a bit, or even some kind of conspiracy theories in those songs, but I wanted to investigate some new topics on what could be the next level for our lyrics, and to what can we do to broaden the consciousness of our listeners in that band. And that's when I stumbled upon transhumanism as a concept, and that's when I found also the fourth way. So Gurdjieff, the quote that we saw on the previous slide, the fourth way is the book that made me understand that I am mechanical, I am an automation, I am a robot until I become aware of myself. And as I said, the fourth way, it's a great book, but still, I think I got into the middle of the book. I started it 5 times. I needed to buy a book that explains what the hell the book is about. And that book was even also hard. But still, the small things that I have learned from it is that question yourself. Question basically everything. Don't expect that anybody tells you the right answers but yourself.
What is the book called that explains this book?
I'll check it out because I can't remember who wrote it, but I found it in one of the bookstores here in Helsinki. I was like, holy God, this is great stuff, because nobody, now at some point, they will explain me what they are actually trying to say in this fourth way. But I'll check it out for you, so I can send it to you. But yeah, the fourth way was an eye-opener also, because to broaden your perspective, the fourth way opened up the doors completely for me. And then I stumbled upon the transhumanism. H+ magazine, for example, is the biggest transhumanistic web article base you can find, talking about immortality, longevity, like also in biohackerism, so that how can we expand our lifespan. I just dwelled into the articles. I found a lot of great song articles, but then I noticed that those songs never were released, but something attached to me.
And where was these articles?
H+, so Human Plus, that's the biggest kind of collective of transhumanists in the internet. And then the final piece of the puzzle came also, I'm sure that this perhaps connects because this happened also in the US, it's in San Francisco, so kind of connection point. So I met this, or not didn't meet, but I listened to a keynote from this guy called Zoltan Isvan. Zoltan Isvan is a transhumanistic person in the US, and he was a presidential candidate this year in the US. Which is quite funny if you think about that this is now a political party also in the US. And he had quite different topics when it comes to Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. If those guys were arguing who grabs where, and Zoltan Isvan, he had this bus called the Immortality Bus. And he did his campaign riding along the whole US in this bus that says that I want to make us all immortal. And you can imagine he pissed off a lot of people, especially in the southern part of US. They didn't like the idea of being immortal. But he was talking about that in 2020, for example, we're going to have robots in the presidential election. Sounds funny at first, and then you start to think about, yeah, I saw that movie about Terminator, this must be a bad thing. But if we think about making decisions on a political level, I would say that it's quite hard to find a member of the politics or parliament that can't be affected through money, through power, or somehow. They make, I think it's been, Esko, you can confirm that, I think it's like 90% of all decisions are based on emotions. Is that somewhere around?
Or even more.
Yeah, or even more. But even though you would be presented with logical data analysis that this is the best option, still, if you get the emotion that, no, I don't believe this, perhaps I should do I'll choose differently even still. So then when you start to think about the concept of robots in election and making decisions based on purely data analytics, which they can crunch huge amounts of data, and no human can do that. And there is no emotions attached. When it comes to road building, building up new apartments, perhaps it is actually better if the data analysis is done by something else than human. But these are the kind of questions we're going to be tackling today and really think about, is it a good one? Or if it's not going into the right direction, what can we do to make it go into the right direction? But yeah, so Zoltanism was the kind of final puzzle for me, and that's when I came out of the closet. So I was in Santa Clara, and I had put out my blog a couple of weeks before I went there in June, and then when I saw him talking, I was like, okay, if this guy is brave enough to talk about immortality, robots in elections, and he was just like explaining this stuff like it's your normal kind of conversation that you're having during your lunch with your family. Nothing special, just, come on, robots are going to be in the elections, you like it or not. And I was like, okay, these kind of topics needs to be covered also here in Finland. So yeah, that was my story, along, I would say, 10 years of experimenting, opening minds also. You need to find your own mentor, and you need to find the books that resonate to you. And I can put out actually this presentation slide also later on, so you can see this, what kind of books I've been reading, and really opening up the mindset from what I was taught and what I really want to be. And that's the decision you make at some point in your life, hopefully, always. Of course, you're being taught into this kind of path, but you can take a different one. But it's up to you to actually make the choice. And transhumanism is my path now, and it resonates me. And I'm hoping it resonates also with you, to start asking also the question and thinking about that. What can we do so that technology won't just make us unvain or like it's
Pets like Elon Musk says.
Yeah. And I don't think it's going to be like in Terminator movies, so let's remember those are science fiction, but like I said, science fiction has turned into science also now. But it's up to us to make the kind of choices. So yeah, what is transhumanism as a concept? So as I was speaking in the intro, so it's I would say the re-evolution of mankind. Let's not go to Freddie Mercury yet. But I guess everybody knows the kind of concept of Leonardo da Vinci when he did the Vitruvius Man. And this is the concept of what humanity can be then in the future. And we might be in a situation where us being here, we can say that we're normal human beings. What can we say in 15 years, 20 years, when there can be genetically altered human beings? They might be having augmentations. So what does it mean to us to be human? And can we say that there is one humanity in like 50 years? There might be several different kind of humans at that point. And that is the kind of basic concept also that transhumanists want to think about, the philosophical, the morals, the ethics behind that. That can we cross these borders? Are we wise enough to cross the border of, for example, immortality? Should we go there? Because technology is going to be going there, and if nobody asks the questions, I would say that then we're fucked. To be very blunt. The technology is going to go.
Yeah, sure.
We can't stop that. But what we can And that's what transhumanism aims at, to guide that path to be for our good. So let's step into the first border-crossing topic of immortality. Freddie Mercury did pose a relevant question. So who wants to live forever? Who wants to live forever? Raise your hands.
Haven't decided.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Yes, cool. Because immortality is something. It is a taboo. You can't talk about it because we believe at the moment that we need to die. Do we need to die? Why do we need to die? Why do we not have to suffering? So how can we achieve mortality? It could be a digital version. So let's say that when you're facing the final days of your life, you put it into a machine, you go there, and then you upload your consciousness onto a server. And then what happens next, you might be having a surrogate body where you upload your consciousness again and just continue your life. But then we cross the border of, because we like to think that there is soul, there is energy. What happens to that? Can we upload your personality for real? And what would that mean? Can you live forever? And of course Elon Musk actually, he has been debating a lot, because there is this theory also that our universe might be just a computer simulation. So if you upload yourself to a server, which would be as real life as this one is, so how do you know that didn't happen already? How would you distinguish that experience from the real world, or if it's just like an artificial world?
Like Avatar.
Yeah, like Avatars, or Matrix, whatever. Yeah, there's some science fiction movies, but still they pose the really relevant question of what is also reality. And if I want to live forever, do I want to live forever in this world? And then comes also the cloning part, because if you can be cloned, you can also live forever. But then comes the question of personality. There was a really interesting topic in Helsinki, Sanoma, I think a couple of weeks ago, where there was this cloning factory in southern Korea, where they are cloning pets. So if I love my cat, I think we both, my girlfriend, we love our cat, and you can clone your pet for $90,000. And it's hard to say if you clone your dog. There are some color alterations, so it's not like an identical when it comes to the color, but the breed is going to be exactly the same. The owners are saying, yeah, Rekku is exactly the same as he was before he died. But you can't ask Rekku that, Rekku, is it really you? Come on, Rekku, say something. I mean, you used to do this, roll over, come on. So you can't ask a dog if that is really Rekku now in front of you, even though there are some color alterations. But yeah, his personality is exactly the same. But then what's going to happen, and you can debate it, but I believe that it's already happening, that they are cloning human beings. But you don't just see it yet, because they are taking that industry into places where you and the regulations are not that strict yet. So it's happening somewhere where the international law won't be seeing that. But at some point, there will be a news saying that, hey, by the way, we are able to clone now human beings. And then comes the really critical part. If I can be cloned, and there would be now two Juhas explaining the same stuff, the same emotions, everything, then is there a soul? Do we have some kind of energy inside us that actually drives this vessel that we call the human body? Go ahead.
Is this same thing that what they are doing with people that are chronically sick or dying, this deep freeze?
Yeah, exactly, yes. Yeah, because that is something, I think they're doing it in at least US. There are already like kind of factories where you can just put yourself on freeze. You say, let's say you have a terminal illness, cancer, whatever, and there is no cure. But in 20 years, 5 years, 10 years, there might be the cure. So instead of just like, should I just die now or go to freeze, and when there is a cure, they will again rejuvenate me. And that's why one way to actually put a longer lifespan for your life. And also the big question is that if you have immortality, let's say that we are able to do it, so you can be immortal, you can be in a surrogate body for 200 years and then you just replace it always if something breaks down. What do you do with all that time? Because in the sense, death does give us some kind of meaning for everything. Because we have this short time span, even though we don't know how long it will be eventually. But we know that it gives us some kind of purpose for me to each day do something, so to create perhaps something that will live on even after I die. So that is the big ethical side of dying. Does it give the whole life the purpose? But if I have unlimited time, why do you struggle then to do anything? All right, next one. How much can I replace from my body without losing my humanity? And I think somehow this question resonates to me perhaps the most deeply. Because we're going to be seeing, like the Olympics example, so augmentations are coming, and this guy lost his hand when he was 3 years old. So he hasn't had a hand, and he's now 31. He can feel. It's connected to his body now. This is the most advanced bionical limb that you can find on the market at the moment. He can do all the normal stuff that anybody can do. So he has 2 healthy hands now. And this is a great way, really. I appreciate the kind of efforts at the moment that we can really repair people. We have war veterans coming from Afghanistan, from Iraq, whatever. Or war childs in Africa who have been stepping on a landmine. And then you can repair them and give them, again, a normal life. But as we know, humans are quite strange creatures. We start to enhance ourselves at some point, because at some point augmenting yourself will become the standard. It will become the normal. And if your neighbor is having 2 bionic limbs and he can just like lift a tree like this, and then you're going with the chainsaw like, you're going to be jealous about that. And people are that kind of animals that especially in Finland, like if your neighbor has 50 euros and you want to somehow inform the IRS that they would take the 50 euros away. Go ahead.
On this regard, I don't know if you read about it, but they apparently now have used genetic engineering to cure cancer patients in China.
Yes, and we will be talking also about the genetics at some point. But yeah, so we will, this kind of bionic and augmenting will become as normal as getting a breast surgery, so getting silicone tits. And think about it, that me having augmentation could be the normal instead of me being normal, me being enough as I am. And we're going to start replacing, really, the bionics. And for example, the Olympics, if the bionics become the standard, is the normal people then going to go to the disabilities Olympics, or what's going to happen? Or is it going to be like augmented Olympics after that? And this poses really a serious question that we need to think about. That if me being normal is not anymore the standard, it can divide our humanity. It can become this kind of tool that perhaps only the rich and powerful might have the possibilities to augment yourself. And that will enhance their power even greatly if it's just available for those guys. So I'm hoping that even though we're far away from an equal world, but this might have a serious impact and this is already happening, that we have the bionics, but the biggest stepping stone will be that when we start just enhancing perfectly normal bodies. No, even though the privacy issue is quite funny already at the moment. How many have you read? Because I think everybody uses Facebook.
We've seen the Snowden.
Yeah. But we all use Facebook. How many read the end user license when you signed up? Nobody? No. Google Plus, YouTube. Yeah, we don't read those. Yeah, and next year Finland will be getting its first 5G networks, for example. And at the moment, the network works that we have this big, what is it called? These radio masts that pinpoint you, like if there is tree in the area, they can pinpoint you pretty efficiently. 5G, that's going to be quite a different situation, because 5G networks, they need to have routers and these antennas. Maximum distance from each other is 50 meters. So you can think that there is going to be a lot of those 5G things now, and they can locate you. And I remember I was in this cyber breakfast that was organized by VTT, and there was a reporter from Yle asking that, this is going to be meaning serious problems for our privacy, right? Because you can pinpoint us anywhere really accurately because it's so close. But yeah, basically so, but the technology is not going to be doing that because you already gave your privacy away. Because you don't read the end user licenses. So if you want to go to the kind of Orson Welles 1984, they didn't make us to kind of like forcing us to give out our privacy. We did it ourselves, so that's quite a neat trick, I would say. So they own our private data already, and we gave that away. All right? Sure. If that helps to prevent a terrorist attack, is it justified? Mikko, is it justified from your perspective? If it helps to save lives?
Well, first of all, I don't think there's not much proof that it has. And the second is that what would you fight for freedom if you don't have it even?
Exactly. Yeah. But the wearables are at the moment the way we can measure, and the implants are coming next. So we're going to be having RFID and NFC chips inside our bodies. They might be having, for example, your health records. It might be uploading automatically from your body. The body heat might be even giving the implant its power, so you don't need a separate power to power it up. You might be having all your bank things. You can just pay with your because we have the NFC chips now in our bank cards, but you understand that the next point will be that you will have a chip in your hand.
It's already in Sweden, right?
Yeah, they're trying it out in Sweden. And in US, quite a lot of families are taking GPS implants for their families because they are afraid of kidnappings, and by that way they can ensure that their family can't be found anywhere. But again, the privacy is the borderline that I don't think that anybody really thought about it or really posed a serious question that should we be open about everything? Do I have anything to hide? Well, I guess no. I'm not planning a terrorist attack. So I could be open, but does that allow also then, well, hell, police, come to my apartment, I don't care, because you can just do whatever you want. In privacy issues, especially the kind of like the implants and wearable technology, that's something that you should be thinking about. And what should we do about it so that we don't give us everything out? Go ahead.
Okay, then there's the question of medicinal implants.
Yeah.
Would you then be more, or would you think that people are more willing to, upgrade for a sort of permanent insulin pump or this sort of thing? So as long as it's not data related.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, I would think so. And that's actually a good, for example, the medical part is something that can pose actually a revolution to the whole medical industry, because we can debate about it. But I think that the medical industry, it's a big business just to keep us also in the kind of limbo of not making us 100% cured. But if through implants, for example, let's say you have a nanobot thing that injects some kind of cure all the time into your body and keeps your body healthy. So when that revolution comes that keeping us healthy is better business than keeping us sick. So that's going to be a huge moment in the medical industry.
One point that came to my mind since I work for an insurance company, it's the cyber security. Since all the chips are probably internet, so it's probable to hack. So Are you dealing when somebody hacks you? Okay, you give me ransom or I kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the hacking is also the big part of it, and that's related so closely to the privacy issues. Who owns the data? Which companies do I allow to read the data? And what happens when you have everything in your hand only? And well, they can cut out my hand perhaps, or something like that. But also the hacking part, if everything is here in one chip or in a fingertip and you get hacked, who are you then? Your identity could be changed by hacking your chip, and you're going there, and then all of a sudden I'm Per Johansson or something like that. Like, whoa, okay, there's something wrong now.
Yeah.
And basically the big question is also, is technology essentially good or bad?
Neither.
Yeah, that is a correct answer, because it is neutral in the sense when technology is created. But we as humans actually decide then, is it good or bad? And always depending on what's your belief system, where you're coming from, and that's how you modify if the technology is good or bad. We can debate if the split of the atom was a good thing. It created us quite unlimited power through nuclear power plants, even though of course they pollute. But still, I wouldn't think that we would be here if the atom wasn't split. But it also brought the horrors of nuclear bombs. At the moment we're standing, I think it was 3 minutes before midnight in the atomic clock, doomsday clock. So we're again closing again, even though we were stepping away from the kind of horrors of after Second World War and the Cold War. Now we're again going that way.
By the way, does anybody know what happened to the clock when Trump was elected?
I think it went a bit forward, but not because of Trump. I think it was actually because of India and Pakistan. Their border crossing is quite a hot spot at the moment, and that's why they are moving it forward. But this, what's going to happen? Let's see. So we will be dividing our humanity, as I was saying, just on the augmentations. If I can be better, and I feel that I'm then a superhuman, it's going to be dividing our humanity. We will have people that are pro-technology. I think I'm one of those, but still from the kind of philosophical side, because I'm not sure. So as I said, I'm not a prophet. I'm really trying to find out and debating about these things. But I do believe that the technology can make us prosper. It can make our world a much better place. But it can also make us more divided even what we are now. Because there will be people that will be then neutral. Not sure even for example the augmentation. I'm not sure, I wouldn't take an augmentation myself or an implant, but I'm not against them. So you can, if you want, you can do it. But this is going to be a big challenge then, the people that will be against the technology. Religious, I see from a religious perspective, there will be challenges. If we start talking about that, we can be immortal. It doesn't go into the books that you can be immortal.
Biohackers handbook, it goes there.
Yeah, okay, well, we can put it there. But in the upcoming 15-20 years, there will be an event, I'm 100% sure that there will be a dividing moment if we don't direct it so that there can be a harmony between people, that we can use the technology or you can leave it be, but so that it won't be dividing us again, even more, and making us unequal in the world. And the final topic is going to be about the new societies also. Like I said, technology can bring a lot of good stuff. And one of my favorites is actually Jack Fresco. I'm not sure how many have heard about the Venus Project, which is in Florida. Cool. Yeah, so you know a bit of the concept basically. Jack Fresco is having a concept of how we could actually modify our society to match something else where we are not at the moment. But yeah, today we have access to highly advanced technologies, but our social and economic systems has not kept up with our technological capabilities that could easily create a world of abundance free of servitude and debt.
Buckminster Fuller said that also already, like 1940 or something.
Yeah. But a new society is also needed because our way of world won't last that long. And especially now when Trump was elected as the president, it's a major blowback to our nature. If they're going to be resigning from the Paris Convention, that's going to be a huge impact to our nature and our environment. If our world continues as it is at the moment, perhaps the only way for our species to actually survive is to augment ourselves if our world is so polluted that we can't live there anymore. So perhaps, unfortunately, the augmentations, genetically modified human beings that can withstand pollution and are cured of all illnesses, perhaps that might be the only way we can survive as a species. But that depends so much on how our society really develops. And if I would be a politician, my thesis would be that let's make Finland jobless. So there would be no jobs in Finland. Nobody would work. And that's what I would think that the world should be.
So I'll vote for you.
Perhaps next time I need to start a political party. But yeah, I think we have all the technology at the moment, for example, to agriculture. Let's automate everything from food production. Let's automate the whole society so that people could really, like you guys here, you want to invest in yourself, you want to make yourself conscious more about the world. You want to create something new that makes our world a better place. But in that world where there would be no jobs, there would be no requirement for money. And that's also what Jack Fresco is trying to imply to us, that why do we need to own these things? Why is owning so important for us instead of us creating something new, enjoying life? I think I would rather enjoy life than just like being at work. It would be sustainable. There is an abundance already of resources in the world. Let's say that we would like to end the food crisis in Africa. We could do it, but we won't do it because it's not economically good. Unfortunately, that is the truth. We could change all the bad things in the world if we just wanted. As a humanity, if we had a goal that let's end all the problems, let's end poverty, let's end food crisis, if we could do that, we could bring everybody into a kind of similar level. But because of our whole belief systems and economical systems don't support that idea, it's not going to happen. And Finland is taking the first steps now with bringing the basic income. And I have my kind of backgrounds from my grandparents because they had to go from Karelia after the Second World War, so they were forced to move out. So of course the kind of speaks at home about socialism and communism, and there were some good ideas also in socialism. And I think the new society should be somewhere in between of these two systems which are ruling, so capitalism and socialism. So if you will get basic income, you don't need to work. Fine, you get clothes, you get food, you get an apartment where you can live, and you don't need to own anything in that system. And then if you want to make something on top of that, you can build up a business, which would be making some kind of new technology, creating something new for the betterment of the whole humanity. So perhaps that is the next step. But staying in this capitalistic world won't do. It will ruin our world. And at that point, we're going to need the genetically modified human beings, unfortunately. Yeah. And then, as a final quote from the great movie Ghost in a Shell, to really also believe this haunting idea of you also starting to question the reality of what you were built in, and then starting to create the reality for your own, because you can do it. Your mind is awesome. It can do wonderful things. And perhaps in 10 years, I can have a Kingston SD card. I can just plug it in and then make my mind even more creative
But for the time being, can you offer me proof of your existence? And how can you when neither modern science nor philosophy can explain what life is? Thank you very much. So I'm hoping that this session will leave you with a lot of annoying questions that nobody in this room can answer. But the point is that we need to discuss these things. There are no right or wrong answers at the moment. And if you ask me that, am I 100% sure of some topics? No, I'm not. Even about immortality, even though it sounds freaking awesome, that I could live forever, I had all the time. I could erase, like, for example, the need of sleep from my life. So I could just, like, do something 24/7. I think Nico is already doing that. But I'm not sure. I don't know. And that's the reason to really think about this. And we need to think about this now and not in 5 years, not in 10 years even. We need to start doing the changes right now and directing technology and our society into the right direction where we want it to go. Yes, but thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?
I think this left people quite uneasy.
No, that's good. That's good. That was good, man.
Well, like opens for discussion, rather thinking about, for instance, embryonic screenings, and that is already happening. That's already part of.
Yeah, like, do you mean like designer babies or?
No, in a way that the child that will never develop cystic fibrosis and die at the age of 1.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, so.
Mitochondrial disease is you have 3 parent babies, and
Yeah.
that's for a purpose.
Yeah, yeah, and the genetically modified humans are going to be coming, and we're going to be doing designer babies.
Better soldiers.
Yeah, you can choose all the attributes you want.
Wow.
How do you feel about that? A bit uneasy. But the point is also that these technologies are again going to come to us. But if we think about also the kind of bigger perspective that at some point we will be leaving also the planet Earth. So at some point we will start colonizing other planets. Perhaps the human body wasn't meant to leave as it is from this terrestrial place. Perhaps the human race that will actually leave our planet is going to be a different one, and perhaps it's going to be a genetically modified race to withstand the radiation of deep space, to withstand the environment of the new planet that we're going. Perhaps that is the kind of next step, so that we as humans, as we are now here, we can be here.
I mean, our evolution it's basically just one-way stream. You have to have options if you leave.
Yeah.
The only way of getting options is actually tailoring.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
How do you see that this, will there be this kind of a hive mind that people are connected through the thought, that you don't have to talk in order to get your message through?
Yeah, like telepathic messages. Yeah. Like the implants that we're going to get into our brains, I think the one point would be that you enhance the existing brain power that might give you a telepathic ability. But I think the more probable version is actually that you will have a chip implanted into your brain, and it's going to be working like in WhatsApp. So basically you just have some software that is integrated into your brains, and what is happening when I'm talking? My brain is actually telling the commands to my mouth to move like this. But my thoughts can be relayed, and there has been already scientific study about you can upload your dreams. So you can already upload the dreams that you're seeing into a computer.
I think Facebook is, for example, making a research that next interface is like this data helmet.
Yeah.
That you only think and then it thinks back to you.
Yeah, and especially Facebook is investing a lot in that side, but also the VR thing, so virtual reality. So perhaps that is the kind of like the Second Life upgraded like 9,000 times more, so that you will have an avatar where you will live, and perhaps even the kind of some people, I don't suspect this at all, that some people might be more willing to live in that virtual world.
I was in a class a couple days ago, and in a Nokia booth they had this camera which they have filmed film, and you were actually able to live the film, and you were kind of the star there, and it was like 95% you are in there and 5% you were out of
Yeah.
there. And maybe in the normal movie you see you are maybe half in the movie and half in the movie theater. But
Yeah.
it's like a strongly immersed.
Yeah, and especially VR, well, I also work for a company that is going to be starting their first business also when it comes to virtual reality. But has anybody tried the new VR, like HTC Vive and PlayStation VR? Well, go and try it out, because at least for me, even though I don't do drugs, but I think the English word for mind blown is the exact way I would describe it, because I feels like my brain was 3 times bigger, and I could feel this kind of ghost brain behind my head. And it was so immersive, even though like the graphics are not hyper realistic, but it doesn't have to be. But they can fool my brain. They can make me do a horror kind of roller coaster ride, and it feels so real that my brain is really. I felt like my whole body temperature rising, because I was so afraid, and I knew that I'm sitting in a couch at my friend's, but still I'm afraid that I'm gonna die. So, and for example, I love diving, and I tested the Blue from Valve software, and it was so awesome that I could actually travel to the bottoms of the ocean just by sitting in my sofa. And it is as immersive, I would say, even all the kind of silent feeling, if you've done scuba diving, that the silence is the best thing, that you can just hear your breathing. And I was sitting in a lobby, I knew that, but still when I was looking upwards, I could see the sun shining through the waves, and there were like big manta rays going there. And then suddenly from back I could hear a whale singing. And then when I'm turning around, this 30-meter blue whale is swinging past me. And I was like, this is computer graphics, but I love it. It was so immersive. And I think I talked to Anu like the next 3 weeks. It's so cool. And I would say that I think using drugs has the kind of similar effect. So you have a big brain afterwards, and then you want more, so you get addicted. Yeah.
Really how to explain, but I used it like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the game was like basically from 8-bit Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like you are shooting arrows.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I put the helmet on, and my friend said that you are in a castle tower. And he was like, take one step. There was a well.
Yeah, like the ledge.
Yeah, ledge. And he was like pushing me, take one step, and I was completely freaking out. Don't push me.
Yeah, exactly. So
and it was like a half a minute after I was putting the helmet on. I was like,
yeah. So it is truly, really that immersive, and you can fool your brains. But also now again, not painting the kind of bad things only about it, that it's really immersive. You can do all kind of horror tricks there. But we can also use it for medical cases. Let's say that you fear of flying. It's an easy way to get rid of the fear with VR.
your plane crashes and
Yeah, you manage it. I've done this a couple of times, so I've survived it, yeah.
Where can you try this?
I think at least DNA stores in Finland, they have VR goggles that you can go and try it out. But the PlayStation VR is one of the best that I've tried out at the moment. Anything else?
Other questions? All right.
All right, thank you very much. Oh, by the way, one comment. This was a historical event because this was my first public speech about transhumanism. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks very much. That was great. Yeah.